Welcome to the Rebel Rise podcast, a place where values-driven founders on a mission for more come to connect, learn, and grow. Here, we celebrate the relentless spirit of leaders building businesses that create real good for their clients, communities, and the world. No subject is off limits, and every episode is designed to bring you clear strategy, steady leadership, and people-first operations you can actually sustain. Get ready to grow ethically, lead well, and build something that works without burning you out. Your impact journey begins right here. Let's go. Today, I'm joined by Kelsey Lettko. Kelsey is an integrative hypnotist and coach who works with soul-led creatives and healers ready to elevate their inner world to match their life, business, and success that they desire. Through a blend of science-backed hypnosis and embodied integration, she helps clients to rewire subconscious beliefs, identity patterns, and nervous system responses that shape how they sell, lead, receive, love, and live so that growth feels aligned, abundance feels natural, and success feels inevitable. I'm so excited for this one, so let's dive in. Kelsey, I am so excited to have you here today on the podcast with us because, first of all, you haven't been here with us before. We haven't gotten to speak in detail since we were together at a retreat just a couple of months ago, but also we've never had anybody on the show before that focuses on what you focus on. So I am so excited to dive right into what you focus on, which is hypnosis. And you combine a lot of different therapies with that. But what I want to start with first is just having you kind of introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about how you, first of all, and how you created the Elevated You method.
Absolutely. And first, just thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get to be back with you, chatting with you. We haven't really
Yes, so
connected
excited
since
to
we
have
were
you.
together in real life back in November. So I'm so grateful to be here and thrilled to get to be your first hypno guest. But yeah, I would love to introduce myself. I am an integrative hypnotist as well as a life and leadership coach. And my jam is kind of all things helping people feel better in their hearts, their minds, their bodies, their souls. So I also teach yoga. I'm a Reiki practitioner, and also have a background in startup operations. So a little bit of everything going on in my world. But so the short story is, this path started for me about 10 years ago after my yoga teacher training. I was working full-time in tech at the time. Did my yoga teacher training for 3 weeks in a rainy jungle in Hawaii, lasted 2 weeks when I got home, and then quit my job. So it really has been 10 years ago this year since I kind of see my life as like hard pivoting off the path I had been on and entering onto this one. The short story is I followed my intuition really and knew that I needed to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life and stayed pretty open to kind of following the breadcrumbs as they landed. It started with yoga, which led to Reiki, which led to needing to pay my bills. So I went back to tech part-time, which led to, I thought was going to be my master's in counseling, but coaching kind of came in full force and diverted my path. I did that primarily for about 6 years until I realized I just wanted to get in there deeper with my clients. I was tired of talking about limiting beliefs, but not being able to actively do it quite enough as much as I wanted to on the spot. And that's around the time that I started seeing work done by who's my teacher now, Melissa Tiers. She does a beautiful form of conversational hypnosis that weaves itself really well into a coaching conversation. So you're literally changing your brain while you're having a conversation. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, I want what she's having. So that's when I started studying with her, bringing hypno into the toolkit. And now really all of the work that I do is through that lens of brain change and essentially how can we update our subconscious stories so they match who we are, not who we were taught to be.
Yes, and the experience of hypnosis, to me is so incredible, not only because I had an epic experience with you, even retroactively months later, I'm still like seeing benefit from that. So first of all, thank you so much.
So cool.
But also, I think a lot of people still view hypnosis as something that's like, I'm going to totally put you under. You're not going to be conscious. I'm going to make you quack like a duck. And so, what I love is that you really talk about how it's science backed and it's not just about the idea of being hypnotized to do goofy things. So, can you talk about a little bit of that? Because I know you and I could probably nerd out on the neuroscience piece, but I know it's your favorite thing ever. So,
Yeah. Thank you for letting me be the nerd here for a minute. So yeah, I mean you're totally right. I mean, the first time I was exposed to hypnosis, it was stage hypnotism, and it was like an entertainment at a senior breakfast when I was graduating high school. And yeah, my classmates were up like being rock stars and like quacking like chickens. And I was like, okay, this is weird, and did not ever think about it again as any sort of healing methodology until a couple years ago when I started to really follow and educate myself in this world. So what it actually is, I explain it as just knowing how to access and tap into more of who you actually are. So in hypnosis, a lot of it again can be done conversationally. So if you're listening and you're like, what is she talking about? I invite you to just let any sort of kind of preconceived notions of what it is go just for this conversation, because really all it is learning how to work with the power of your subconscious mind, which makes up 95 to 98% of the mind. So it's the core of who we are. It's where the programming that is running the software that is us lives behind the scenes. And we can do it through conversation. We can do it through gentle relaxation. We go in and out of it all day, every day. Anytime we're like reading a book and we're taken away into, feeling like totally engrossed or in flow in something, when our mind wanders when we're on the freeway and somehow we get home just fine, but we're like, how did that just happen? I was thinking about something else. Like we go into this state all the time. So I think of it as this kind of natural magic superpower that our brain gives us. But instead of just kind of like not knowing what to do with it, we utilize it in helping ourselves like feel better, feel more empowered, feel more confident, feel how we want to feel day to day.
and what I have enjoyed about it so much, especially experiencing yours, is that you don't even necessarily need to know what it is that you need help with. Because I remember that was my concern when I sat down with you. I was like, I know I have an issue that I need to work through, but I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint what it is. And so, just the same as like you know, kind of zone out and go into the hypnotic state, we're probably programming ourselves in ways that we don't even realize that we are by doing it that way. But I just wanted to add that piece in, that I think it's incredible that you can know what you want to work on, and you can also say, hey, like I think there's something here.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a pattern here, and you don't even have to know what it is. And if you did, you
Right.
also wouldn't have to share it.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that last thing. That's the other thing I wanted to mention, which I find so liberating about this modality is that, yeah, to your point, you don't have to know specifically what it is, you as the client, in order to change it. We can find the moment that it gets triggered together, and that moment is enough to get us in there and start some active rewiring. But even me as the practitioner doesn't need to know what you are bringing to the table. What matters is that you know, and I can still guide the experience without having to talk about really heavy stuff, without having to relive anything. It just is such a gentle way to make massive, profound change that I want more people to know about, because it's just so liberating when we know that this is available to us. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. And when you're talking about trying to expand the reach and having more people know about this, I'm genuinely curious, because with a lot of modalities that are similar to this, I think people are hesitant to admit that they want to try it, or if they've done it. I know there's not really like a HIPAA law around this, but I would imagine people are also probably apprehensive to give you a review or to talk about it publicly. So outside of you sharing about it, how are you getting to share experiences of other people, or are you even able to do that? Just curious.
Yeah. So, what's really fun is now at this point in my work, I have a pretty big community of people who are hypno lovers and they are so loud and enthusiastic about it, which makes it really fun and a lot easier to spread the word. To your point, I'm not a therapist. I'm not covered by HIPAA. It's a very different, situation that, yes, there are ethics and there are morals, and we can go down that long rabbit hole another time. But for me, if I want to share about a client's experience, I'll get their explicit permission. I'll, see if they want it anonymous. A lot of times people are like, put my name on it. I am so excited. I want everybody to know about this change. So what is really cool is I think we are at a moment where, and of course, I will say I live in Santa Cruz. I live in probably the most open place on the planet when it comes to trying different modalities and different techniques and all the things, which I'm very grateful for. That said, my clients are all over the world at this point, and I think that we live in a really cool time where this stuff is becoming a lot more mainstream. I think that this is hypno specifically is going to be a really big part of kind of the next wave of mental health care because it is so actionable and it is so effective and it's free. It's your own brain. So, yeah, kind of to answer your question, I love educating. I love talking about it. I love hosting webinars. I love sharing about it. And my clients are also tend to be really excited about sharing it too, because once you have that experience and you know how easy it was to shift into this state of like feeling so much better than you had been 2 minutes ago, it's it's hard not to want to talk about that.
I agree. And I remember when you asked me to leave you a video review, I was like, yes, please. So happy to do that. So I'm so glad to hear that other people do as well. And for everybody listening, if you've been apprehensive, it's such a good experience. And I think the other piece, and I'm happy to talk about mine here as well, because I had such a fun experience with it, but it's also a good test in trusting yourself because you're also constantly wondering, as for me in particular, we tried one method and it wasn't really working. And so we had to shift. And as you're asking me questions like, what do you see here? Or, just imagine putting yourself in this room or whatever, I'm constantly asking myself, okay, did my subconscious put it there? Or did I just decide that was I noticing that there was something on the table and now I just want to put it there because I saw that there? And so I think it was a really reassuring notion I think that I had, that was just like whatever came up for me was okay. And so it's not like a test. There's not like a right or wrong answers. You're going through this process. And I remember like you asking me specific questions and I just start laughing because I'm like, this is ridiculous, but like, this is what's coming up for me. And so it was just very lighthearted and fun. And you are always so encouraging in sessions too. I think I told you afterwards, I was like, you're just like the best cheerleader ever. You made me feel like all my answers were just like the best thing you've ever heard. Yeah. And so it was just so fun.
Thank you. And yeah, like it gets to be fun. And that's what's so, fun about this work really is like
Yeah.
we're changing deep patterns that really have the potential to shift the whole course of someone's life. But we can do it while we're laughing and we can do it in a joyful way. We can work with whatever comes up. And I think it's also really important for clients to know that, especially the type of hypnosis that I work with, which is a very integrative toolkit. I'm not sitting there with an agenda of this is where we're going to go next, or, oh, they didn't answer this way. Like, okay, they failed that. Like, I am coming in with a massive toolkit and we will find what works for you, whether it be imagining something. Some folks are like, I'm not visual like that. It's okay. We can talk in more sensory language. We can completely change the way that we're talking about something so that it makes sense for your brain. We don't even have to do that at all. We can go down a different route and do more kind of like physical stuff, including tapping. And, there's so many ways to work with ourselves. And me as the practitioner, I'm not holding an agenda at all. The methods that I'm trained in, it's all about meeting the client where you are. We're going to dance in this moment together. We're going to work with what comes up. It's a lot of improv, honestly, and creativity. And to your point, like there's no questioning what pops up. If that's what's coming up for you, great. Let's run with that. See what's there. And if it's a dead end, we'll plot twist. So yeah, it does get to be fun and it does get to be very improvisational and creative, which I really enjoy about it.
willing does somebody have to be? Like, obviously, if they show up to a session with you, they're willing to an extent,
Yep.
but I would imagine you've probably had some people who are pretty skeptical about the process.
Totally.
Do they, like, can you be incredibly skeptical and still have some things work? Or is there a level of resistance? If you've experienced that, does that resistance kind of hold them back a little bit?
The way that I explain it is you have to want to change more than I want the change for you. You
Mm-hmm.
got to want this. Like, and I feel like at the beginning of my hypno career, I was a lot more willing to convince somebody. Now what I say is I'm like, go read the neuroscience. I'm not making this up. This is how your brain makes change. If you want to go educate yourself on that and read it, please do. But like, come into my space knowing that we are using the way that your brain naturally makes change in a way that you want to change. So I feel like I have a lot of free resources out there that explain the science. I've got the Brain Change Basics, a little video series I've filmed. I've got this other stuff. And please go educate yourself on those things. But I think what I want to shift into, kind of the energy that I want to hold for my clients, it's like, we're done convincing. Like, it's neuroscience. So come on in. Let's have some fun. Let's make the change happen. But to your point, you do have to want it. That's different from being skeptical. Like, even I am skeptical. My conscious mind loves to be skeptical. But if we look at what that actually is, then we can work with that inner skeptic. Like, our inner skeptics are there for a reason. It's all of what our brains does is to keep us safe. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of looking at that skeptical part of us, that story of skepticism of like, is this working? Is this really going to work? Is this hypnosis? Let that story be there. Like, yes, question things, have that little bit of doubt. That is part of your brain trying to protect you from something new, from something that's unknown. But I think my invitation for people who do feel skeptical is to just like, okay, I see you, I hear you, and I'm going to try this because it's me. It's tapping into more of my own wisdom. It's tapping into more of my own clarity, more of my own power. And that little voice of the skeptic is usually part of the conscious mind, which is 3 to 5% of the brain. We're tapping into
Right.
95 to 98%. So if you start to see that little skeptic as tiny as it is, and you start to see it and compare to the power that we're tapping into, usually that little skeptical voice quiets down enough for you to lean in.
God, that's so interesting. I've actually never realized how much of our brain is just the conscious versus subconscious. And I think that's probably not a hard fact to find. But as you're saying that, I'm thinking about, because you said that the skeptic is there to keep us safe. And I say that about fear as well.
Exactly.
And as business owners, entrepreneurs, or really anybody who's working toward a goal, they get a lot of fears. And so it's just interesting to hear it in a different term, right? Just
Yes.
like you were saying, all this different language. Um, but just allowing, again, that trust to come in and realize that your skepticism is fear or vice versa. And so if you can lean into something, again, it's just about the unknown. You're skeptic because you don't know if it's going to work. You don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know what's going to be waiting for you on the other side. And so it's just an interesting dot that I'm connecting with this. And so I felt called to share that right now.
That is such a cool connection that you just made. And yeah, you're exactly right. It's that same, it's like those little voices of protection that are like, whoa, this is new. Therefore, my brain is going to throw up all of these, little pieces of doubt that'll keep me in the known because the known is safe. Even if something so wild and beautiful is right on the other side, our brains are still going to want to keep us in that known state. So I think that is such a beautiful connection that you just made. And the other thing I was going to say about that, there are some very concrete things that I love to debunk for newer users of hypno, for example, that I think help ease that skepticism. And the biggest one that I just want to name is that you are in control the entire time. And I think, to your point, there's a perception that you're like slumped over in a chair, like on another planet. And
Yeah.
like, some clients love to go into super deep trance, love that for them. Even still, if you're in that state, you can open up your eyes anytime you want. Like, you are not stuck. You are not in another space. It is truly, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, because your brain is the one doing it. So you can move your body, you can itch your nose, like you're not stuck anywhere. You are in control the whole time. So for my skeptics out there, be skeptical, and also know that you are in control the entire time. And it's just accessing more of who you are.
Yeah, and I think when I did mine, I think I had my eyes open even part of the
Yeah,
time.
totally.
I
Totally.
can't remember because sometimes I want to close my eyes during those things and sometimes I don't. Even with yoga,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, you know what? This Shavasana, I'm not closing my eyes. Not into
Right.
it.
And you get to honor what is right for you at every single step of the way. So, yeah, you can have eyes open, you can have eyes closed, you can walk around if you want to. I mean, like, there's just, again, we will find the in that aligns with what you need in that moment. So, yeah, there's no script, no right or wrong.
I'm curious, what was the process like? Because I want you to talk about the elevated U method a little bit. And you've already mentioned how you have all of these different modalities in there, which is really unique, I think, to anybody else who does some of these practices, right? Like as a coach, most coaches just do coaching or you just do hypno. And so, what has the process been like for you as a business owner to develop your something that's completely unique and different from what everybody else is doing, first of all? And then if you want to break it down further as well for
Sure.
people who might be interested, I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. So, oh, that's a fun question to answer. I actually haven't really thought about that, but yeah, this is going to be really fun to talk about. So, again, my path started out on with yoga. I went to my yoga teacher training, changed my life, went full blown into teaching yoga for a while. Learned Reiki in there. Reiki was suddenly something I was like, oh my God, the lights of my life suddenly feel turned on. This is incredible. But like, I still at the time, like, yoga wasn't the thing. Reiki wasn't the thing, but they felt like really important puzzle pieces. And then coaching came into my world in a very loud and beautiful way. And at the time I was like, this is the thing. And I went full on into coaching for, as I mentioned, for about 6 or 7 years. And then my intuition's pretty strong. And when it says that it's time for something new, I usually listen. And this time it was hypnosis. And when that came into my life and into my practice, that's when I really started realizing, like, I no longer want to be offering coaching over here and hypno over here. And for a
Mm.
while, under my old business umbrella, while I was figuring out kind of what to do with all of these puzzle pieces I now had, that's what I had been doing. But then I was realizing that, well, this is technically a coaching client, but we're doing hypno. And this is a hypnosis client, but we just spent that whole conversation more in a coaching context because that's what they needed in that moment.
Mm.
And then this person, we just did Reiki for the first 30 minutes. So, it started to really become clear that I no longer wanted people to work with me because they wanted a specific modality, but I wanted people to come knowing that they would get the transformation they were looking for, but feeling more open minded and open hearted to what specific tools we were going to be using to make that transformation happen. So, around at the time that I was having that realization of, like, I want all of these to be fair game in my sessions. I want people to be bought into the fact that, like, there will be elements of all kinds of things brought into this change work, but to trust me that we'll make the change happen. I had the idea for Elevated You, which is now my business. And that's really where what I call the Elevated You method came from. It was this weaving together of all of these modalities that on their own are so beautiful and really powerful, but brought together and used in moments that they're really needed, but they can be interchanged and woven in. And it just felt so much more felt possible by bringing them together. So that's where the Elevated You method came from, was really kind of like, yeah, bringing them all under this one umbrella, giving myself permission to be more creative in my work, and and shifting into a model of working with my clients where they're not coming because I am just a coach or I'm just a hypnotist. They're coming to Elevated You because they know they're going to get the results they want. And we may use a variety of techniques to get there, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, and I love that particular share and your personal journey around that too, because really what that illustrates is that you spent enough time honing in on your crafts to be confident enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to put these things together. And it allows you to have something that is incredibly unique and tailored to people, which is why I think your clients are, or I should say, no, your clients are loving the result that they're getting from you. And I want to highlight that because not only do people fear what they don't know. I think a lot of times we also don't allow ourselves enough time and space to get good at something before we're shifting to the next shiny object. And something that I've struggled with before, at least, is how do I put these things together? And I know that was something we were talking about with my business when we were at the retreat on our mastermind day, was like, okay, I have all of these pieces and I see this opening that I think I can start to kind of feel into, but I can't see how to put it together. And so I also, want to honor that piece of you that was just like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I'm noticing I'm doing these things in all these different areas and I'm putting it together, because anybody else who's kind of in that space, it allows you this creativity for you to just lean into and create something that's truly unique.
Yes. And I think on the business side of things, it's such an interesting journey. And I want to hear how, like, what's going on in your journey of bringing
Yeah.
all these things together right now. But I think, it's so interesting when we fall in love with these services or these modalities so deeply that suddenly we're like, oh my God, I have to run a business now. Like, I didn't really see that coming. I was just trying to, follow the things that I love. And so many service providers, I think, find themselves in that space. But the journey itself is an interesting one. And I love to be very transparent about that from the business side. Like, it was hard to suddenly have all of these things and to know that the way I wasn't working with, or the way that I was working with people wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And I had this new business idea, but I had to fund it. So I took a part-time job to fund the bringing together of all of this. And that afforded me for 9 months last year to be able to step back, design a whole new brand, like get really creative and intentional with how I wanted to weave all this together. But I think it's important to recognize that, because it's not a linear path when we're following our like callings and interests and passions and then building a business behind them. So yeah, it was a fun place to meet each other when we did, because I was just bringing it all into the world after kind of taking a step back and really getting to be intentional about designing it all. And yeah, now a couple months later, it's so fun to have been fully in this world for a while now, but it's a journey. It's a journey to to figuring out how it all weaves together sometimes.
Yes. And I think the key here, the theme and through line that I'm hearing from you is just to continue to lean in and be passionate and excited about it. Because
Yes.
that's what I'm just hearing is, as soon as you're not lit up by something, it's time to reposition and see, does that thing still align with me, and does it not? And if not, it's okay to leave it behind, because no matter what, like you got a part-time job for a few months to make it
Yeah.
work. You have I just had somebody else on the show the other day who we were talking about the importance of having some kind of safety net as you're building a business. And so whether you have padding or you have the ability to, you know, backpedal just a tiny bit and
Yes.
get that extra income so that you can build from a place of expansion like that. So you can stay in this creative mode. Like as you're talking, I can just hear how excited and passionate you still are about it, which is exactly where you want to be with these
Yes.
things. That there really is, when you want something, there is no way to actually fail as long as you're not trying to rush yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with that 1000%, especially with the no rushing. Even still, sometimes my partner is like, "Why are you acting like your whole business had to be built like yesterday? Like this is your
Yeah.
life. Like there is no rush here. Just keep enjoying the process. Keep educating yourself. Keep leaning in." And ultimately, I believe if you are really spending the time honing your skills and really trying to be the best practitioner that you can be, a lot of times the rest tends to fall into place.
So I have another question, and I don't know if anybody listening is going to be thinking about this already, but I know that I was. And so I want to have you talk about this just a little bit is, can you hypnotize yourself?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. Self-hypnosis is something that I teach all of my clients because it's your brain. You can do it anytime you want to. Um,
Wild.
it's wild. It's wild. And it really is amazing how effective it can be. So, my teacher, Melissa Tier, she teaches what she calls the self hypnosis template. And it's a very easy process of it's kind of it's like mental rehearsal. So if you maybe heard like Michael Phelps, for example, he's kind of a poster child of mental rehearsal. He talks about how he sees himself winning, he sees himself swimming, he sees himself doing the things even if his goggles falls off. He has practiced and rehearsed every possible situation so that if it does happen in real life, no stress. His brain knows exactly what to do. What you can do is mental rehearsal paired with a little extra relaxation. And I love teaching it to folks because my goal as a hypnotist is lovingly and respectfully, as cool as my clients are, I don't want you to need to come back to hypnotherapy all the time. I want to see you a couple times and then trust that you know exactly how to support yourself using the power of your own brain when you're out in the wild. So it's really simple. And it's basically, do you want me to walk through the process?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, it's super simple. All you do is relax a little bit. There's so many ways to relax. A couple deep breaths. We'll do it something that's really fun that I can do with my clients now and they can do for themselves since they've been in the state a lot is I can simply say pretend to drop into the deepest state of relaxation when you know that you're relaxed. Just pretend. And the brain's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Like, no problem. So that's a really nice hack to tricking yourself to
Yeah.
relax. From there, you imagine a screen and you play on that movie screen whatever it is you want to see. Best case scenario, you see yourself doing that thing super confident, whatever it is. You allow your awareness to float into that screen so you embody it now. First, you saw it, now you embody it. You try it on for size, feeling what it feels like to be this version of you who's super confident doing that thing, for example. And then your brain just wired as if that was true because your brain doesn't know what's real and what's imagined. So you've just laid the neural networks for that situation of you feeling really confident to be true. You take this feeling with you back into the day, onwards, and you've primed your brain to move through the day from that state that you want to experience. You can do it in 3 minutes. It's super quick
And so cool.
and so cool.
So cool. And I paused because I was just thinking about how mind blowing it is. And I already knew it, but just hearing you say it here again is like the brain doesn't know what's real and what's not.
Yes.
It's crazy to me because what it tells you is that we really are in control of our reality in that way. Like when you're choosing to look at something from a different angle, right? Whether it's in self hypnosis or it's in reality, your brain doesn't know what you're experiencing. So like even when you are, in dread or doom and gloom mode, like if you found a way to like switch your state, which I think you can do with the self hypnosis, right? It really helps you to alter very quickly and to help with the outcome of whatever it is that you're working on, right?
Yes, you're exactly right. And, in my community, I have a whole, I call it the Elevation Library. It's a whole hypnosis audio library that are short so that people can do exactly that. It's like we have more say in how we want to experience reality moment to moment. The kind of asterisks I love to say here is that it's what we're not doing is bypassing hard emotions. This isn't about spiritual bypassing. This is not about skipping over feeling your feelings. The emotion itself can only really last for, I think it's like less than 90 seconds. Someone else listening probably knows this actual
Yeah, I think
statistic.
it's 7.
Is
I
it
think it's
7?
7. I think
It's
so.
quick.
I might be wrong, but it's quick.
It's quick. It's so quick. 90 was extremely liberal. It's very quick. What we're usually reacting to over and over and over again is in the story that we have about that emotion. So, my moral of the story is feel the feelings, like feel the heartbreak, feel the anger, feel the rage, feel the sadness. And then when you're ready to move out of it, choose the story that your subconscious mind is telling you about that. So I use the example of a breakup. Like you could go through a breakup, feel those feelings, like the richness of feelings to move through from a breakup, oh my gosh, I wouldn't take that away from anybody. The growth that happens there is just like, wow. And it's the difference between getting stuck in a story of I went through this breakup, therefore I'm never going to find love again. I'm going to be alone forever. And I went through this breakup. I learned so much about it. I am actively choosing to anchor in a story of now I am even more attuned to the type of relationship that I want. Like imagine the difference in the actions that would happen depending on those two stories that you're holding in the mind. It changes everything, but feel the feelings first.
So I've talked about this before on the podcast, but there is this other coach that I had worked with in the past who she kind of used something similar to that. And it was about romanticizing your life and not just like the great moments that are beautiful, like a beautiful sunset or a nice relaxing afternoon, but even those moments of sadness and things that don't necessarily feel good. And it's not about like celebrating, yay, this is the best feeling ever. I'm so glad we broke up. But it's about being able to sit in that experience and seeing like what is the beauty in that and how can you, because you experience it for roughly 7 seconds, the rest of it is a choice. So if you're choosing, which is completely fine, to, sit and cry for an afternoon over a breakup or something else, is there a way that you can still make yourself feel loved and nurtured? Like she described it as, drawing a bubble bath or dipping your toes in the creek water, or whatever that looks like, just a way to still allow yourself to process and to feel what you need to feel. Because there's
Yeah.
sometimes I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, I'm choosing this. I'm fully
Oh,
aware. I've
yeah.
worked on myself quite a bit and that's okay. I've
Yes.
been mad for the last few days
Yes.
for reasons we don't need to talk about here, but
Ditto. Yep.
I'm choosing to continue to revisit that, but then I can still choose, like, how am I still honoring myself? And for me right now, it's about the way I'm showing up in the world for that
Yes.
situation that allows me to romanticize it, which I understand for anybody listening, that word may not resonate with you, but it's just about how are you making it meaningful? And like you said, how am I taking a lesson from that? How can I maybe take it and grow and expand from that? Or how can I show up for myself in an aligned way with my own values, I guess, and in depending on the situation.
Yes. I love what the other coach that you were talking to mentioned, like, how can you care? What I hear is like, how can you care for yourself really well right now? And sometimes that in itself rewires your brain so that you start to learn, like, I can be really sad and I can still be loved because I still love myself through this sadness. I can be really
Yes.
angry. I can be in full on rage and I can still love myself. Like that in itself can rewire your brain, especially if you're healing from any, early good girl, shy girl, nice girl, perfectionist vibes.
Yes.
So what I never want this to become is another form of perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
We've got enough of that. I've healed from enough of that. I'm
100%.
sure a lot of our listeners
Same.
have healed from
Same.
enough of that. And that's what I did witness within myself when I first started learning these tools. It became like, well, I know that I could do this mindset shift or I could do this and I could show up better, but I'm not. And it turned into another form of perfectionism, which
Mm-hmm.
that's not what we're talking about here. But there is no perfect way to respond to your sadness, all the things. I think I see it more as an invitation of, in that moment, maybe, last night, for example, I was super ragey and I let myself be like ugly rage to my
Yeah.
boyfriend. And I love the guy. He holds really beautiful space and encourages me to let that out. And for me, it was more about like, what if I imagined my older self, like my future self, coming in here and being with me in this moment? Like, how would she hold this space for me? How would she allow me to feel the wholeness of my emotions right now? And through that, again, my brain just wired as if I can be held in my wholeness and I'm still loved and I'm still okay and I'm still safe. And I think that's where some of these hypno tools come in. It's like in those feelings of really big emotion, how can we also be there for ourselves? How can we also use our inner resources to know that we're loved and safe in those moments? So it's not about being perfect or showing up perfectly. it's about being able to kind of like love ourselves through it and then move on when we're ready.
And I love that that's what's coming up for both of us in this part of the conversation, because that was a huge part of what the breakthrough was for me with the session I had with you. Was like,
Yeah.
oh, I always will have a safe space within me, because it's something that I knew, but I like didn't know it, I think, in the core of my being. And so a lot of what we did together was the inner child stuff, which I love. And I've done it with, other modalities where you're working with the inner child. But being able to, put myself in, like, what we did was like put myself in this dream home and have the younger me come to this party and just have so much fun. And it was fun to experience. It was fun to like show myself around and be like, hey, like, this is our safe space. Like, this is real and true, and have it feel good for like adult Vanessa and child Vanessa. And that's the takeaway that I've had. And I have felt very safe and stable and reassured in myself since then. But I didn't have to know that that's what the issue was. I think when I was trying to pull something out of myself, what I had shared with you was I felt like this sense at the time that there were, like, I needed a parts integration. And for
Yes.
those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's NLP speak, but it's where you have two conflicting beliefs or desires. And there was this big part of me that, wants more than what I have now. But then there's this other part of me that's like, well, I'm doing really well for myself. And like, that should be good enough, because that was a pre programmed belief from my parents. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I was like, oh, but like, this is good enough. So is it okay to want more? And I think, that was part of what I actually knew I needed. But the core of it was that I needed to know I could still feel safe and loving and accepted, no matter which way I took my life.
Yes. And I'm so curious, is it okay if I ask, like, what have you noticed as a result of updating, really updating that story, that you can have desires that maybe are more than what you currently have? We can have gratitude and want more at the same time and be safe. Like, what have you noticed since that?
Yeah, I feel definitely a lot more confidence, but a lot more safety too. Like, even this is going to sound really silly, but it's fine. I live alone. And so there's a lot of times where, like, if something is going on in the world, or even just like in my own world, right, where I feel like scared to go to sleep at night, like sometimes that happens. I think that's totally normal. But I have felt a lot less of that as well, because like I trust myself to have picked a safe home and a safe neighborhood. And also, I have more confidence to like go out and do things. I was talking to another friend just this last weekend, actually, about how we've felt a correlation in like the anxiety that we have with the amount of time we spend at home without going anywhere. And
Interesting.
so that could be a whole nother conversation in itself. But I feel more confident to like, because there was a period of time where I didn't walk my dogs because I was like, well, something might happen when I'm on this walk. And which is crazy because my dogs are 4 now. And we just started doing this in October, just a little bit. But then we met in November. We had that session. And ever since then, it's been like every single day,
Oh,
and it's something that we all look forward to doing. Of course, my dogs look forward to it. But as I'm out there, I'm like, oh, there's nothing wrong, because I trust myself to go out there and to understand what's going on around me. And I don't do headphones or anything like that because I want to know what's going on around me. But that's been a big shift too. And in terms of like the trajectory to success that I'm putting myself on, it's not like oh, can I make this happen? Like, am I ever going to get there? It's more of a like, being exploratory, so curious about like, how do I get myself there, because I know I can do it now.
yes. That, first of all, that is so beautiful. And it's so cool that I think that's what's so fun about hypno is like, we don't always know the exact ways that the effects are going to trickle out into life. Like, we didn't talk about walking your dogs, but there you are, getting to feel safe walking your dogs. That is so beautiful. But the other thing, you said something at the end that I wanted to come back to. Oh, because you know you can. And it's that baseline assumption that when you are living in an assumption that like suddenly it becomes like curious how you can make it happen, not if you can make it happen, because you know you can make it happen. That is something that's such a powerful subconscious update to make. Because if you're living in the assumption that you know you're going to be successful, it's just a matter of how, then you're going to take more chances. You're going to actively see more opportunities. It filters what you consciously are seeing in the same data set that's your life, but you're consciously seeing more information that's in confirmation of that assumption that, like, no, I know I can do it. So I'm just so excited for you. And thank you for sharing more about that. That's really cool
Yeah,
to
of
hear.
course. Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's kind of like, it's just like hacking your own system, which
Exactly.
kind of makes it
Exactly.
fun. It makes it fun to explore and like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to get out of this. And I may not know for a couple days, but I'll sure know something's different.
Yes. Yeah. I think of it as updating your, like doing your Mac OS update, doing the software update.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't do that for too long like I do, but suddenly your browser doesn't open as fast and things are a little clunky and they glitch. I think of us as those glitches that happen if we don't update our subconscious programming. Like when you give ourselves that software update, suddenly we meet the moments that are right in front of us with so much more ease and confidence when we are doing that work to just boost our unconscious programming to match where we actually are.
Yeah. And it's crazy that we don't already think about it that way because our brains do kind of function like a computer.
They do.
But I don't think we spend enough time thinking about our whole body in general as this incredible machine where we're so used to being in it that I think sometimes we actually kind of forget that it exists in that way. Like
Yes.
we're not maximizing our full potential. So it's
Right.
very cool that we're able to do that and we can hack into stuff that helps us to maximize our potential.
Yes. And I'll even go as far as to say these days that as people that, such as yourself, I'm guessing your listeners, who are doing beautiful things in the world, who are pushing past their own comfort zones to run their own businesses, share their creativity with the world, to like get their gifts out there. I really go as far as to say it's our responsibility to update our subconscious programming because we just inherited our programming. It's pretty much there by the age of about 10 years old. So the question I'm so curious about is like, if you are doing something in your life right now that you weren't modeled by the age of about 10 years old, raise your hand. Usually everybody's going to raise their hand. Then it's our responsibility to update our programming. Otherwise, our program's running against us. And there's not there, this is not to criticize our childhoods whatsoever. It's just how our brain works. So if you're doing something big, brave, and beautiful in the world, I think it's our responsibility to update our programming so that we get to be the people who can fully say yes to the visions that drop in, the ideas that come our way with so much more ease.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want. I'm sure we can agree. We both want this for everybody to win,
Yes,
everybody to succeed, and
yes,
to really make their life whatever that they want to. And I know for some people that sounds completely impossible right now, but
yeah,
I can tell you, like, I was somebody who a long time ago I felt that way too. Like probably 10, 12 years ago now, I felt that way. Like, oh, this is all it's ever going to be, apparently. Like, this is I'm living the American dream. And I just trusted that there had to be something else out there more for me. And so I know there's people listening who feel that way as well. And so, if that is you, there's always an option for you to explore. There's going to be something that's going to work for you. And granted, there's lots of different modalities, and Kelsey offers a lot of them, but where you can peer behind that curtain a little bit and you can start to see what's possible. And so I just want to encourage everybody who's listening to lean into that and to explore
yes.
different ways that you can expand, especially if you're feeling like you can't or like it's not meant for you and you're just stuck wherever you are. So that being said, if somebody wants to connect with you, Kelsey, if somebody wants to learn more or experience your hypnotherapy or anything else, where can they connect with you?
Yes, you can come find me at elevated-u.com. That's my website. You can come say hi on Instagram at elevated u method or at Kelsey Lettko, either one. my favorite way to welcome people into my community is through my collective called the Elevated Collective. And it's designed to be kind of like, if you want to dip a toe in and see what this is all about, come on in. It's for beginners. It's for everyday hypno fans. It's really, there's something for everybody in there, but it's designed so that everybody who's in the collective has the tools to change your own brain at your fingertips, literally, because it's hosted on the Circle platform, which has a great app. And there's a full hypnosis audio library in there. It grows every week. I think there's like 40 elevations in there at this point. There's a private podcast where we dive into these topics. So really a lot around education. There's weekly events, there's monthly events. It's really everything that you need to kind of meet you where you're at. Mini courses. Our next one coming up starts on February 1st, and it's a 4-week self-love elevation. So we're going to spend 4 focused weeks diving into our relationships and our programming around self-love. And I'm so excited about that one. So yeah, that's the best way to come say hello if you want to start using these tools right away. And you can access a free week on my website, elevated-u.com. Just go to the collective page and you'll be able to grab 7 free days there.
Yes, yay. We love free stuff. So if you're listening, definitely go take advantage of that. She's got so much incredible stuff. I need to get myself in your community. I never did after I almost did a couple weeks ago, and then I had to go get my card for the trial, and I was like, I don't have it next to me. And then I had to come back, and then I got distracted and life happened. So I'm going to have to.
We can fix this. I'll send you a new card, not to worry.
Okay. I know. I wish everything. I don't do the Google Wallet, and I need to, because if I did, then my card would just be available, but then it would just be available. So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I need to get in there. So, Kelsey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing that and nerding out with me a little bit, because I could talk also about the brain forever and ever and ever. And I truly hope that everybody goes and checks you out, because what you are doing, I think, is incredible. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Rebel Rise podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and invite your friends to join us next week. This is your time. Now get out there and rise.